What's good? Welcome to the Cold Front. My name is Zach, and today we are talking movies, specifically the very best that 2024 had to offer. I was able to see 42 new films this year. We had some absolutely horrible nonsense, some mid-tier offerings, and some that we're going to talk about today that reminded me why I love to watch and argue about film. So let's get into it, starting off with number 10. The best Christmas pageant ever, right? The best Christmas pageant ever. Wholesome, fulfilling, timeless, a movie about that horrible family in town. That horrible family in town that everyone loves to hate. It turns complicated when that said family of rotten children decides that they want to join the local church and participate in the annual Christmas pageant. Doesn't sound like my kind of thing. It sounds like some Hallmark level nonsense that had nothing, that wasn't, something I wanted to be a part of, but it's based on a book and it's surprisingly timeless. I believe this is created by the creator of The Chosen, if you've seen that TV series. And here, it just ends up being a sweet, unassuming film that to me cements itself as an annual Christmas classic. This is one of those movies that's going to pull at your heartstrings while providing a message that all of us can get behind. And sometimes we as Christians struggle with the stressors in life that this movie kind of tackles. And sometimes we forget what the true meaning of not just the season is, but also the sacrifice that we're so committed to. And I thought this film did a beautiful job of balancing a fairly simple plot, but focusing on characters, growth, and grace, and the meaning of what being a Christian needs to be and what the Christmas season should remind us of ultimately. And it was a beautiful, beautiful film. It's an excellent family movie. If you haven't seen it, go rush the theater and watch it. Coming in at number 9, we have The Fall Guy. Ryan Gosling stars as a down on his luck stuntman who is trying to woo the girl of his dreams, who just so happens to be directing the film that he's partaking in this movie. Sounds, if it's not Ryan Gosling, I'm not going to go see it. But he gets roped up, and this isn't really much of a spoiler, but he gets roped up into stuff beyond just, being a stuntman in a film. He gets roped up into some crazy stuff in this movie. But ultimately, this is an action romantic comedy. We get a few of these every year. A lot of the times they're pretty rudimentary, pretty by the numbers, and this one isn't necessarily breaking any new ground. But when you get all-stars like this in a film, it's really hard for it to not be good. But the romantic tension here is some of the best I've seen all year. Now, that being said, of the 42 films I went to watch, not a lot of them were necessarily really heavy into the romance side of things, right? But this one did that piece really well. It had the action that it does have. Since it's got such an emphasis on the stuntman aspect, they're very well choreographed, very over the top, and very fun to watch. Crazy cool. The plot just is paced really well, and the formula that it's doing, again, it's not new, but it does it very, very well with a lot of competence. And this is one of those movies that's going to make you cheer. It's going to make you laugh a lot, especially like Ryan Gosling comedy, which I do. It's got very good comedic timing. This is one of those films that's just it's just a blast at the movie theaters. It's a great date night film. Go see it. And number 8, Abigail. Abigail is basically they've taken the thought of, some bad mercenaries are going to decide to take a job to kidnap the daughter of a dangerous man. And while they're at their hideout, or I don't know, they're at their rendezvous point, so to speak, at this mansion, they get locked in there, and turns out that girl's a vampire. She's not a little girl. Right, that's not really spoiling much. You watch the trailer, right? That's the setup of the film. Now, the directors of this film were inspired, so they say, by Breakfast Club. Okay, which I found very interesting. But once you hear that and you watch the film, you can kind of get where they're coming from. I felt a lot of James Gunn's Suicide Squad level stuff, because this is a very violent movie. It's very over the top. But every one of these mercenaries is very different. They're there for a very different reason. And they're all so charismatic and funny and entertaining, and they play off of each other really well. And this is a film that, like, every 20 to 30 minutes, it feels like some dynamic changes. I mean, the central thought is there. It's condensed horror. They're locked in a location. I love those kinds of films. I'm a sucker for all of this. I love monster movies. But it does all that really, really well. Action's really good. And the comedy's there throughout, and it changes enough throughout the film to kind of keep you guessing as to what's going on, but also to change the dynamics of, oh, this person's in charge now. Like, they have they have total control of the situation. Then that switches here, and you think this person's bad, but they're really good. And it's a blast. If horror's your kind of thing, if horror action is your kind of thing, go watch this, because this was a banger this year. This one was incredible. Coming in at number 7, Twister. So not once, but twice, my hometown got waxed by tornadoes growing up. I have a lot of mixed emotions built up with this, but ever since 2014, when that most recent tornado hit, I mean, I'm talking, I was in a disaster movie. Our president came to visit, all that kind of good stuff. I've been fascinated with disasters. I've been fascinated with weather and tornadoes. And I grew up watching the original Twister, so I was excited to hear about this, but I was kind of nervous too. I found out who was on it, Glenn Powell starring in it, and I mean, our new Superman's in it. He's kind of a jerk in the movie, but this movie is just, it knows what it is. If you like dumb, action flicks, disaster flicks, you're going to adore this movie. If you hate those movies because you find them unrealistic, well, then here's 2 things. You're a stick in the mud. And number 2, you're not going to like it. Don't watch it. It's not your thing. This is totally my thing. It's a ton of fun. It's not trying to be some heavy-handed drama. It's not trying to be a prestige film. It doesn't need to be. It's about twisters. It's about the horror and the intensity of tornadoes and what it's like being a tornado chaser. And this movie just nails that perfectly. It's highly intense, white-knuckling. I know it stressed my wife out when we went to go see it. Fun, if dumb, but delivers on all of its promises, knocks all of them out of the park. And this one I was really excited for. Exactly met my expectations. It's never anything more than a crazy disaster flick. But does it use all the modern tech and everything and fulfill on all of that stuff? Oh yeah, 100%. Coming in at number 6, Alien Romulus. So I absolutely love Alien and Aliens. I'm more of an Alien fan. Everyone's kind of you like Alien, the original, or you like the James Cameron, the aliens, but I haven't really loved any of them since. I kind of liked Prometheus. Prometheus was interesting, but still not kind of my thing. And Alien Covenant was way kind of lost its way a little bit. But this, when you hear the director of the Evil Dead, he directed Evil Dead 2013 and Don't Breathe, Fede Alvarez is going to come in and make an Alien film. That gets you excited. The thing is, I struggled with this for a while, so it wasn't in my top 10 for a while because I expected it to be top 3. It kind of disappointed me in a sense because I was expecting by far and away one of the best films of the year for my taste, and it wasn't quite that home run that I was wanting it to be, but it was a double, but it wasn't like a casual double. It was like one of those doubles that was a couple feet from the fence, and just the daggum wind stole it. It was very, very close to the sun, but never quite made it. The practical effects, the commitment to the nastiness and the originality of the OG and the cramped nature of the original Alien, it's all there. I grew up, I liked the Alien Isolation game, and Fede Alvarez took some inspiration for some of the scenes. You could tell that's by far the scariest Alien property, and it just gives enough. It gave us fresh air in this universe. It gave us hope that, okay, we're about to get some more alien stuff. That's going to be pretty cool. This was awesome. It was only held back by heavy reliance on the original bag of tricks. And I wanted more attention and some of that hide and seek stuff than what it ended up giving me. The stuff Fede Alvarez is really good at. And I don't know how to feel about the end still. Good and bad there. But boy, if I don't remember it. Very memorable, excellent film. If you like the first 2 Aliens, go watch this. Coming in at number 5, Deadpool and Wolverine. Look, why in the world am I singing Madonna in my head after watching an R-rated superhero film? And here's the thing. That plot for Deadpool and Wolverine is a total disaster. It's a disaster, but you know what? This film just rocks. Anyways, you either love or hate Ryan Reynolds, but we all love Hugh Jackman, right? And that dude is a rock star, and the gravitas, the edge, he brings a balance that Deadpool 1 and 2 really needed, and he balances out kind of the insanity of Wade Wilson. And again, this is a film that on a story sense, no one's going to remember it. Heck, I don't remember it. I've watched it 2 or 3 times at this point, but on a character level and on an action level, there are like 3 or 4 scenes and moments in this film that I just keep coming back to because I either laughed until I cried or it was so cool that I just had to see it again. If this was a list based solely on entertainment value, this film is number 1 of the year. This one Gave me a whole lot of stuff I didn't know I even wanted in a superhero flick. This movie is incredible. If this isn't your kind of thing, you're the kind of person that doesn't laugh at Deadpool 1 and 2, well, what are you doing with life? But number 2, also, this isn't going to be your kind of film. This is not any different just because it's now in MCU. This is definitely Deadpool. You know, that kind of humor and the edge is 100% there in Logan, but the Logan aspect of it just made this everything I wanted it to be. That buddy cop stuff just is my kind of thing, and it's a film I'll keep coming back to. It's the only film Marvel released this year, so it needed to be pretty good. Luckily, it was. All right, top 4. Coming at number 4, all right, we have Heretic. This is a movie. It's a smaller movie I was kind of hearing about in some circles and some like a kind of film review and YouTube circles about this tight, small horror film. And, you know, I've said since I've seen this, if I had the skill and money to write and direct an original movie, I would want it to be in the vein of this, right? 2 Mormon girls, they're going door knocking, right? And they come across they find themselves locked inside the house of a very mysterious man who begins to force them into religious debate and into a series of decisions that can lead, well, to nothing good. Let's just put it that way. And this film's so fascinating because there's so much dialogue. It's a very heavy dialogue in the film, but the dialogue is so compelling. Everything that's being said and all the subtext of the things that aren't being said. You know this dude is creepy. You don't know why yet. You just know he's breaking some social barriers, but he's not being so overtly creepy or obtuse that like what they need to do is totally obvious. You just know what you think because you've seen previous horror movies before. But Hugh Grant, man, the dude who plays the antagonist, he knocks it out of it. He's the best antagonist of the year, bar none. Like this isn't a movie that's going to get any awards because everything's wrong, you know, but this dude knocks it out of the park. He's so compelling. He's so charming, but so unsettling at the same time. And not much even happens in this movie. And this movie would have been top 2 for me if the third act didn't get so kind of horror movie-ish, kind of follows the same kind of thread we usually see with that kind of stuff. But man, it's such a pleasant surprise and one that I was just engrossed in all throughout. So fascinated. Now, I mean, some of the religious stuff, because he's an atheist, some of the religious stuff that he brings up isn't the best argument in the world that I've heard. No. But is this movie trying to preach to you? Not necessarily. You know, it presents both sides. Their arguments, lets the characters banter at each other. Both sides get some punches in. It's not really taking a side. It's just presenting a scenario. And I love that. It makes you think. It's a movie that, you know, I mean, if you're a Christian, you get offended at this, you know, come on. Now, if you're an atheist, you get offended at it. I mean, you know, I don't think this is a movie designed to offend people. It's a movie designed to promote thought and to present a interesting scenario, and it does that really, really well. Please go see this. This was the horror film of the year for me. Absolutely had a blast with this. More of a thriller, I'd say, probably than horror. But all right, coming into top 3. At number 3, The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot. So, have you ever wanted to see a movie about a robot that has to raise a baby goose? No, well, me neither. And you and I were both wrong on that front. You know, I'm not even a parent yet, and this movie hits every single emotion in a film that parenting can hit. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry multiple times, and you're going to cheer, and your heart's going to swell. There is so much in here that every age range can relate to. The animation is cutting edge, and the journey that the film takes you on is unforgettable. I don't want to say much more, and I can't say much more, but this movie is the animated film of the year to me. It is just, it's so good. Now, I mean, there's some small animal violence in the beginning if you got really little kids, so be wary of that and go, you know, if you're a parent, do your due diligence, look it up on your own time. But very just heartwarming movie, very stressful at times, but man, does it not hit all the right notes and bring some tears to your eyes in the best way possible. Go see the Wild Robot. This film's up for some more awards for a reason. It's the best film DreamWorks has come out with in a long time. All right, perfect. So on to our top 2. Now, I have said to many people this year, I've seen 2 perfect films this year. Only 2. Okay. 2 that I would give 10 out of 10 that I wouldn't change a thing about. Start with number 2, Wicked. So, this is a film based on a play, based on a book, based on an old movie. Why does this level of movieception work this well? It has no business doing this. You know, I was drugged to go see this movie, and I was blown away. And if you don't know, Wicked's a very loose. I'm not a nerd with this particular stuff. Okay, I am with some things, but not with Wicked. Prequel story to the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz and how she became Wicked. That's to put it as like baseline as I can. But here, this is like a 3-hour musical, and musicals are not my thing. It is a musical. Be prepared. If you don't want a musical, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Stop living under a rock. But number two, no, going into it, it's a musical. Okay, be properly prepared for a 3-hour film with a lot of singing. But the characters are so deep. All of them. They're so deep. The songs, the set pieces, they're fantastic. The world feels so lived in. It doesn't have, this is part one to a 2-part story, but it doesn't have that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse problem where part one literally stops right in the middle of the action on a cliffhanger. Do you know that there's more story to tell? Yes. Does it wrap up the conflict of this film really well? Yes. It's a complete movie. It's part one of the grander story, but it's a complete movie. But no scenes felt wasted. And this is one of those things that, if you are truly passionate about something, whatever that thing is. I mean, it could be about underwater basket weaving. It can be about grains of sand. It doesn't matter. If you are extremely passionate about it and you're willing to work for it, people will watch it. And it's going to be really, really good. And this is one of those things. This is not a movie where I'm the target audience. This is not my thing. And I adored it. I adored all of it. This is a movie I had an absolute blast with. And I kept thinking in the theater, how are they pulling this off? How is this good? It has no business being this good. You're going to laugh. I mean, you might shed some tears. You're going to cheer quite a bit, and you'll be snapping along. If you're my wife, you're going to listen to these Wicked songs so much that I'm going to lose my mind. I did like them. I'm going to get to a point where I hate them, at a certain point. But the amount of times I'm having to listen to these songs, but they're admittedly very good, especially that, that one where they're fighting with each other, whatever it's called. I'm going to get in trouble for that. But so good. Go see Wicked. It's a film that's needs to be taking home some awards for sure. And coming in at number 1, best film of the year, Dune Part 2. Look, if Part 1 was a build up, this is all the fulfillment. So this needed to be this good. It had to be. But here's the thing: we just don't get movies like this anymore. We don't. With everyone, like you have Denis Villeneuve, the director, who is widely considered to be a top 10 director, maybe top 5, maybe top 3. Currently working in the business right now. He's at the top of his game. You're the best cinematographer in the game, framing all the shots in Greg Fraser. Dude's a rock star. You have all these Oscar-winning actors and actresses that and you love. And they're doing faithful adaptation of a sci-fi novel. I mean, this is Game of Thrones in space, to put it into ways that most people can get. This is Game of Thrones in space. The character work is excellent. That's what really puts it over the top, is the fact you have this messianic story and a story of political corruption. And every single thing that your protagonist does, there's like an edge to it. There's 2 to 3 layers to everything going on, to where every victory has a sense of defeat to it as well. And you feel very conflicted. This is a film that it puts you in this world. It puts you in the world of Dune. I've never seen anything like this, where I'm in the movies and I feel like you feel like you're at the sand. You feel like you're being looked at by those giant stinking sandworms. This is some next level stuff. This movie is one of those movies that sets the bar. It doesn't set the bar. It is the bar. This is the bar for what adaptations need to be, what fans should want in their adaptations for whatever it is. And I'm so glad that they're doing this. Now, is Denis Villeneuve for everybody? Not necessarily. There's very little dialogue in these films. It's more about the visual storytelling more than anything. He's very open about that. But if you go in knowing that, and this film doesn't take any time to explain who's who and what's what, you gotta watch the first film and know your stuff to understand it. But my word, if this film just doesn't have the best action, some of the best storytelling, the most intense moments, and the best acting out of all the films this year, this is a 10 out of 10. This was the best movie I saw this year, 100%. And if you disagree, sorry to inform you, but you're just wrong. Right? It's an incredible film. If you haven't watched it, go see it. And that's it. It's top 10 films of 2024. I'd like to know your thoughts. Well, let's get to talking down in the comments. Thank you, guys.